Welcome to the chaos. Friedrich Nietzsche believed that one must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. The imagery there. And I've heard creativity also described as the ability to find order in that chaos. Truly, how can the act of creation be anything else? To really be original, one must consider a multitude of possibilities. One mustn't be afraid to take a risk, try something new. Here's what I think in a nutshell. To be creative is to follow the tangled threads of inspiration until imagination leads to something magical, something like a dancing star. Hi, my name is Susan Soberad, and I thrive within that creative process. I really can't remember a time when I haven't been involved in creative works, from finger painting in kindergarten, to making my own greeting cards in elementary school, to sewing my own clothes in high school, and currently to using technology to design and create graphics to communicate messages. I am my absolute happiest when I create. However, as a veteran educator with over 30 years of experience, I am baffled at the loss of creative flow in students and schools where I've taught. I'm saddened by the angst that has arisen between educators, students, and administrators. Angst so intense that teaching is no longer a sought-after profession. Schools of education are closing, more and more teachers are leaving the classroom, hard feelings abound. And I have to admit, I've experienced it too, and I'm concerned. So, for the last few years, I've put lots of time and effort into exploring creativity as it relates to schools, from student search strategies and the impact of AI on creativity, as well as creativity in the multimodal world of the internet. And I've come to believe that what's lacking in education at all levels is an understanding of just what it means to be creative. I also believe that if educators and the students they teach could find moments, mere moments of true creative bliss, both in and out of the classroom, things might just take a turn for the better. Over the past few years, I've discovered all kinds of studies out there, many with conflicting reports of what's really going on with creativity in the classroom. So I decided to talk with some current educators to get their views on creativity in the classroom. Becker comes from the world of higher ed, Meredith and Jordan are secondary educators, and Daphne brings us the view from the elementary classroom. Over the next few sessions, their voices will emerge as I share my own convictions about creativity with you. The conversations will cover why I believe promoting creativity in schools is so important. I'll share ideas about creative uncertainty, ways to plan and celebrate creative moments in the classroom, and ways to perpetuate the creative process in knowing and learning. Listeners and viewers may or may not agree with my views, and that's okay. But what if creativity was a priority in schools? Can creativity in schools be reimagined? Let's move into session 1. So, what is creativity? One researcher describes creativity as ineffable, ineluctable, and inscrutable. Truth. There are as many definitions of creativity as there are people, and most people would agree that creativity is hard to predict and harder to understand. So I have a panel of educators here ready to share their definitions with us about what they think creativity is. Okay, let's begin with you, Becker. What is your take on creativity?
Creativity is using existing knowledge and formulating it to solve problems. Often, it may be outside the box. It may be paradigm shifting, but it's using intellect to solve problems. Creativity is basically recognizing and assimilating or accommodating or dismissing possible solutions to a problem.
Meredith, what do you think?
Creativity is taking what's given to you and being original. It's thinking about new ways of using that information or applying it and being a problem solver.
Daphne, what are your thoughts?
Creativity means that the kids have some agency and some choice, and they get to make their own decisions about how to show what they've learned. Creativity of thought, where they can be flexible in their thinking, is really important. You have to be able to adapt. Our whole world is adapting, and you have to be able to see perspectives, and you have to be able to solve problems if something changes.
And finally, Jordan, how about you? What are your thoughts about creativity?
There's a close correlation between creativity and problem solving, and being able to draw on knowledge, experience, the resources you have, and being able to find different solutions for a situation or a problem. I think when people find ones that are unique or different from other people, I think that's when it becomes creative.
So there you have it, creativity from the trenches. Creativity is not a trait that belongs exclusively to individuals gifted with some kind of a magical talent. Creativity is, however, about exploring the world and imagining new possibilities. Creativity is the ability to imagine novel, valuable, and surprising solutions. Take a moment. Did any of these definitions resonate with you? How would you define creativity? Okay, moving forward in this session, I'll be sharing ideas about why I think creativity is so important. Again, you may or may not agree with my thinking, but hopefully my thoughts will engage yours regarding the impact of creativity, or lack thereof, on our students and their lives beyond school. You probably heard that creativity is one of the top job skills that employers are looking for in new hires. And it is an educator's job to prepare students to take on the world beyond the classroom with confidence. However, with the exponential growth of AI, many routine jobs are now being automated. In fact, top executive often will not hire someone who is unable to leverage the power of AI to help them do their jobs more quickly and efficiently. With this rapidly evolving AI presence in the workforce, the future of jobs for the humans in the room is currently unknown. What is known is that students will need to be able to create new solutions in order to meet these unknown challenges. Unclear goals, uncertain feedback, and the possibility of unexpected innovations will be challenges in this uncertain future. Spontaneity, imagination, and original thinking are hallmarks of someone who will be able to combat these challenges. These processes are certainly not descriptors of AI. They certainly are creative qualities that will be required of a future workforce in a world where change is constant. Now, I know you might be thinking, hang on a minute, AI can generate millions of ideas at a time. Isn't that creative? Well, true, AI is a great thought partner, but machine learning arises from data input by humans. AI looks for trends and patterns within that historical data and uses it to answer questions and solve problems. In reality, suggestions from an AI partner are based on similar circumstances and really aren't all that creative. AI just tells you what's been done before. Hence, AI suggestions are plentiful and quickly given, but not altogether reliable. Becker, you're a professor for secondary education. What are your thoughts about using AI?
The other day, I put in a question to my institution's chatbot, wondering, can it write my paper? It gave me an idea, it gave me an outline, but it's just a very bare skeleton. It helped organize thoughts, but in no way is it going to replace somebody writing a paper. It can only operate on the information that's provided to it. The old adage, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out, applies to AI. I tell my students it's a great place to start, but it should never be their ending point.
Meredith, you teach middle school students. What's your take?
I think that students are using AI, and we're always telling them to use their smarts for good, not for evil. But they tell me AI is a shortcut. AI can do work for me. And I tell them it can, but where's you in that work then? Where's you in that product or in the learning? I know that the machine knows how to learn, but do you?
It looks like we can all agree that AI is really good at sifting through millions of data points generated by algorithms and identifying patterns. However, as Becker mentioned, that information was put in the system by another human. And while AI might be able to generate seemingly rational decisions, it lacks the emotional depth and understanding of the human condition that arises from personal experiences, emotions, sensory input. AI doesn't know how to consider individual differences or in-the-moment reactions that manifest in the form of facial expressions or body language. AI can't choose the best cookie because it can't smell burnt. AI doesn't experience trauma or abuse or love or hate. AI is a program trained with information biased by the person who input the data. AI is only and ever reactive. So while AI may be able to sift through hundreds of ways to solve a problem, the inherent bias built into its learning set and its lack of humanity will prevent AI from ever being able to choose the best options for solving human problems. Jordan, you're an English educator. What do students really need to be able to know about AI to be successful?
To work with AI, students are really going to have a lot of ideas and be able to manipulate the data along with those problem-solving things. It's a little terrifying to think that these kids are going to have to exist there.
Yeah, I agree. Researchers, me included, believe that students are going to need to be able to adapt to cultural changes and generate innovative solutions to unforeseen problems. They're going to have to interpret both internal and external events in the moment in order to devise creative solutions. They're going to have to evaluate how their responses impact humans in cases where logic or the most common answer just doesn't provide useful information. It all boils down to the fact that humans are going to have to be what a machine can't be: empathetic, intuitive, imaginative, insightful, compassionate, creative. But how do we get students to this place? Well, we certainly won't get there in an educational ecosystem that promotes standardized testing and structured curricula. These things are time-bound structures that are the antithesis to creative practice. Both operate on deficit thinking. What do our students not know that they need to know in order to do well on standardized testing? How much time do I have to make sure the deficits are covered? Structured curriculum attempts to help teachers fill these deficits by scripting every moment, restricting reading passages to only those that fulfill a specific standards-based purpose, and promoting activity-packed schedules that leave no room for detours. But these schedules are artificial boundaries. What happens when students make intuitive leaps in understanding? By sticking to the schedule, those leaps are cut short. They're undervalued. And if a student is never acknowledged for their new understanding or for making connections beyond the scope of a lesson, what incentive do they have for doing so? Right, none at all. So they do what they have to do. Their imagination and insights are shackled. With more than 150 zettabytes of information available to anyone with access to the internet, and with technological tools and artificial intelligence available to find answers within that massive data, why are schools still focused on data dives? Well, it seems reasonable to provide guidelines for educators so they know what they're supposed to be teaching, along with a few best practices for ensuring students learn. It does not seem in the best interest of students to micromanage the learning, especially when learning needs to include how to use creative practice to solve problems that don't yet exist. The end result of all of these time-bound practices is that creative self-efficacy is decreasing with age, at a time when increasing creative self-efficacy is important. Young children who play make-believe and have opportunities for inventive play have an abundance of creative opportunities. However, as students progress from grade level to grade level, opportunities for play and imaginative activities become smaller as the content workload becomes heavier and more complex. It is unclear, actually, whether students are less creative. Perhaps it is that they have less opportunity to be creative. And that's a problem that will impact student futures. Well, that's all for this session. In closing, I'd like to issue a creative challenge to viewers and listeners to encourage creative practice. These challenges are for your own personal experience. If you'd like to share what you create, please send evidence via the QR code provided, and your work will be posted alongside the work of other viewers and listeners on my WordPress site, Cultivating Creative Thought. Here's your creative challenge. Choose one of the following items: baby, tulip, cherry, sandpaper, dollar. Now, make a list of 5 ways that humans can interact with these objects that AI simply cannot. Thanks. See you next time.